Alright. So, video 2. Full disclosure, I've already made the 6 videos of this series, but after doing the first one and then cutting the other 6, cutting the first one, doing the other 5, and thinking about it, I thought, you know what, I need to make these a little bit better, think about, kind of decompress from the situation a little bit, back away from it a little bit, and work on these one-on-one, or one-by-one, and set these up properly and tell the true story and make it really good. So, first things first, today, June 24th, I received in the mail my, you look there, WGU, my master's degree. It was issued on the 19th, so it got out to me pretty quickly. On top of that, the great thing that WGU did for me is they issued an e-diploma. So I didn't even have to take this into work and scan it for my promotions and all that. All I had to do was send a PDF form of the document that they sent to me. Now that is a protected document, so you can't print it, but the nice thing is you do have this diploma now that says, hey, I finished up my degree. So, on to the story. So this was during the time, this was in December, so I've got my notes here because I wanted to be more professional. I actually started my term in October, and I just didn't have time to work on things. And I have it in my notes here, tease video 5. So that's what I'm going to do. Some stuff was going on in my personal life, and I was very busy. Also, going back and thinking on it, I should have started in December. I should have done this program in December because I would have been able to take more time. I would have had more time to dedicate to studies because here in the fall in Indiana, October, you're getting your house ready for winter, you're putting away your patio furniture for the winter. In November, you're hunting, you're doing all this stuff in Indiana, and I didn't really have a whole lot of time to work on this stuff. And I should have waited until December, and I would have been done in my 6-month goal. But 8.5 months still is a great amount of time to complete an MBA program. So, on December 19th, one day, that's all I'm going to talk about here. A little bit of a backstory. It was nearing the end of the year. It was the last full work week of the year, and I reached out to my boss, and I said, hey, I know you've got one more vacation day left this year, and I have one more vacation day left this year. So I'm going to go ahead and give you the option. You can either take off Wednesday or Friday, because I had a meeting that I was conducting on Wednesday. And she said, well, if you're going to give me the option, I'm going to take Friday. She's like, I'm going to get my Christmas break started early. I can go shopping. I can do this. And I said, okay, that's fine. Go ahead and do that. I'll be here Friday. I'm going to go ahead and take off Wednesday. I'll attend our meeting that day, but other than that, I'm completely offline and unavailable. So that day, I got up around 7:30, 8 o'clock, which I'm normally up around 6 or 7. That's my typical wake-up time, and that's when I'm normally, going to work or whatever. This day I said I'm going to sleep in a little bit, and then I'm going to go somewhere to do work. I'm getting out of my house, and I'm going to be productive. Sometimes you just have to do that, and this day I had to, because I'd been in my house too much. You sit down, you're like, well, I'm just going to check Facebook a little bit. All right, now I'm going to go look at this. Now I'm going to go look at that. And then, you turn around and you've wasted 3 hours in your office and done nothing. So, and it happens. Kind of like scope creep in a project. So, what I did is I I said, okay, I'm going to start off with managing organizations and leading people, and I'm going to complete that class this morning, or I'm going to complete that class today. I'm not leaving the place where I went to, which was Martin's Supermarket, and I'm not stopping until all the work for that course is submitted. So I went to Martin's, and I had recommended changes to my first essay. So I went ahead and completed those, turned it in. The first essay was, I can't remember the order of them, but there was one about yourself, where you do a self-assessment and you talk about your own leadership style, and then the other one is about a manager and you talk about their leadership style. So I did those two things, and I got those done around noon. All the while I had called into my meeting at 10 o'clock. As soon as that completed, I submitted all my work for that course, and then at noon that day, I said, okay, you know what, I'm going to look at this Managing Organizations and Leading People course and see how I do on the pre-assessment. So I went ahead and jumped into the pre-assessment. I thought about it a little bit, and in reading the questions in the course, I realized, hey, this is about HR. That's what this whole class is about. And in my experience in management, prior to my current position, which is administration, I tried to make it so I barely ever had to deal with HR when it came to anything, when it came to compensation, employee discipline, all that stuff. That's what that course related to. And I'll be honest, in my own professional life, I've done that because it's better to know the procedure beforehand, before 3 representatives from HR show up and say, hey, guess what, you violated our attendance policy, you've violated our compliance policy, whatever it is, and they walk you out the door. So I made sure that I was that I was ready for that, and I went ahead and took that pre-assessment. I passed, and as soon I emailed my program mentor and said, hey, I passed this, can you approve my exam? And I also emailed the course instructor, which they approved the exam, so I scheduled it at 4:30 that night. And every time I scheduled an exam, it's just a superstition, but every time at 4, I would schedule it at the half hour, so 4:30, 5:30, 6:30. That's how I scheduled my exam, or at like 45, so 7:45, 8:45. The reason why I did that is just consistency. The other thing, too, was this goes all the way back to my bachelor's program, the final countdown. 5 minutes and 14 seconds. They have the countdown on the student portal. I would select that at 5 minutes and 14 seconds. I would hit play. Actually, 5 minutes and 10 seconds. The extended version's 4 seconds longer. 5 minutes and 10 seconds. I would hit play, listen to the entire song. I would put away all of my notes, everything. For those 5 minutes, I didn't look at anything related to the course. And then I would launch the testing site. And I would jump into it. So at 4:30, I went into that test. I actually tested higher on the actual assessment than I did the pre-assessment. So that was great. I did look at a small amount of the material online in the areas that I tested weekend, just to kind of review what I was figuring out. And then I went to the next test, and the great thing about WGU is when you take a test, you know right away. The papers take a little bit of time because somebody has to physically review them. So, took the test at 4:30, passed. At 5:30, I stopped and had dinner really quick. And then I looked into my next course, Management Communication. This course, I briefly read through the course synopsis, and then I looked into the 2 tasks. The first task was you were the CEO of a corporation that was overtaking another corporation, and you were introducing their product line into yours, and you basically had to sell your people on this new product. I actually was involved in a corporate merger that was a vertical merger, almost exactly like this. And what I did was I kind of pulled some of our own stuff. And then the other thing I did was I pulled some stuff from about 2007 to 2011 Steve Jobs keynotes. And I talked about our product, I talked about selling it, I talked about how we were going to resolve inventory issues and how we were going to do this, that, and the other. I introduced some things that actually came in down the road when I talked about on time in full and items like that, and did the presentation. The hardest thing I had with that course was I did a dry run of the presentation. Then I tried to do a recording on my phone and transfer that to my computer to upload into Panopto, which you can't do. So I had to record everything on my WGU camera. And that will come up when I talk about my capstone too. And that frustrates me all get out, which I'll tease, that's on video 6. So yeah, that was fun. So I totally forgot on back in managing organizations and leading people. The one thing I did that was very important to me while doing my program for any course that I was writing on is I came up with a playlist that was called Paper Music. And all it was a bunch of Billy Joel songs that were heavy on the piano, which there are songs that aren't, believe it or not. And I started using that stuff. I would use that to kind of beat along while I was writing, and it helped me out immensely. Of course, I will say during the sleep deprivation and stress from work and everything during my capstone project, it's really funny, and this is another tease on video 6, but it was really funny. There was one night I walked downstairs and I talked to my wife for 30 minutes about this Billy Joel conspiracy that I had related to Piano Man. And I will bring that up in task 6 because it's just kind of funny as I was writing the essay. So management communication. I completed the first task around 9 o'clock. And then the second task, this actually immensely helped me in my own professional life, and it was examples of communication. You had to write 5 or 6 different types of communication in response to different things. An internal email, an external email, dealing with a customer complaint, a sales flyer, and 1 or 2 other things. And this actually, in my own personal life, or my own professional life, helped me because a lot of times when I would send out emails, they would be kind of informal. Be like, hey, Dr. So-and-so. I mean, literally that. And I said, you know, it kind of was a little bit informal, so I kind of worked on my own internal communication as well. So it was very immensely helpful in that. I submitted that then at 11:45, and I went to bed. The next day I got up and went to work, and then by Friday, all of my stuff had came back graded. All of it was passing, and then the best part was I got to walk up to my boss and go, hey, so you know how I took off work on Wednesday? Or no, this was actually on Thursday, I remember it. I walked up to my boss and I said, hey, you know how I said on Thursday I was going to, or on Wednesday I was going to, you know, try to get some work done? Well, I did my entire term's work in one day, which she almost spit her coffee out. It was kind of funny. And I'll tell you, it was one of the wildest days of my life. So all in all, it was amazing. I wish I could have tracked what I did that day, what was so special about that day, throughout the rest of my program, because I completed a little bit more than a quarter of the coursework in one day. Like, the entire degree program in one day. And I wish I could have tracked that and figured out, okay, I could have done, what else could I have done to have made it better? So that was the wildest day, hands down, of my educational career. It was one of those days that, everything was just peaking right, when it came to, energy, creativeness, everything. I just knew what I wanted to do and how I wanted to do it that day. I will say I don't recommend it. I was drinking coffee at 6, 7 o'clock at night, and after I submitted my last task at 11:45, I promptly crashed and got up a little late the next day, but that was something, though, that, I had to do, and, but yeah, it was, and the great part was, at the end of the day, I got to walk into work and say, hey, here's my grades. I'm due a check's worth of my entire semester's tuition as well. So that was the wildest day of my educational career at WGU. I feel like an academic Icarus, though, because it kind of affected me down the road. Yeah, back to the end of the video. Like and subscribe. Please leave some comments down below. Tell me about your wildest day that you have ever had as a student, whether it came to a traditional learning method where you maybe stayed up for a day straight to take a final, or maybe you have a WGU story like me where you completed 3 or 4 classes in a day. But yeah, just leave some comments down below, and I will try to get back to them for sure. Thanks. Bye.